Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. I imagine that this isn't going to get that much attention given that there's a lot of things going on in the PC gaming world right now. Stalker 2 just dropped, there's a lot of Black Friday deals, and there's other games people are playing, and does anybody really care that much? Especially my audience, that Star Wars Outlaws is available now on Steam? I don't think so. I think for my audience, let's just be real, I'll look at the comments section, and you guys aren't the biggest fans of Ubisoft these days, but Star Wars Outlaws has in fact dropped on Steam. And you know what? I wasn't expecting this game to do insane numbers, but it's still Star Wars. It's a major title. I would say it's a major title. On top of that, unlike a lot of the other Ubisoft games that have come out on Steam, it is coming out just 3 months after it's released on Ubisoft Connect. Assassin's Creed Mirage came out a year after, and, you know, that's the amount of time I had initially expected Star Wars Outlaws to be, as far as the turnaround. Then Ubisoft has changed their methodology as far as their PC game releases. Thank the high heavens as far as that's concerned. We'll get to that in a little bit. However, Star Wars Outlaws was a game that came out back in November, and let's be real, it wasn't received that well. Commercially, it was a flop, even though I believe it sold, you know, 1 million copies fairly quickly, and you can spin that into thinking it's a good number. Guys, it's not. The Star Wars license is incredibly expensive. This game was incredibly expensive to develop for, and you know me. You know the charlatan that I am. We gotta look at some numbers. We gotta assess some data, but we'll contextualize the data as well, as I like to do, because that's how we learn from data, as I like to say. But let's go to our trusty friends over at SteamDB, and let's look at where Star Wars Outlaws is. Now, this is a game that's coming out 3 months after its initial release. I'm not expecting it to do amazing numbers. However, the all-time concurrent player count as of the recording of this video is 1,400 players. Yes, 1,400 people concurrently have played Star Wars Outlaws on Steam. Not to mention, this game is getting the full-on banner treatment on Steam. If you open up Steam right now, at least on my end, Star Wars Outlaws is being promoted. This is the Star Wars IP on the Steam banner front page. It's getting a lot of promotion, and it's peaking at 1,400 concurrent players. On top of that, there is a discount for the game. It's kind of a garbage discount, but it's 25% off for $52.49. Realistically, it should have been 50% off for $35. I truly believe that, but you know, it is what it is. I guess they don't want to discount it even further. Now, okay, it's peaking at 1,400 players. That sounds bad, but how do we compare this? We can't compare it to a Stalker 2 that's a brand new release. We can't compare it to a Warhammer Space Marine 2. We can't compare it to Dragon Age the Veilguard. We can't compare it to any of those games because those games were day one releases on Steam. Yeah, Stalker 2's got 100,000 players. Dragon Age Veilguard had like 89,000. Space Marine 2 had like 200,000. Let's not even bring in Black Myth, Wukong, Palworld, and these games. It's not a fair comparison point. So what is a fair comparison point? Well, you got an IP like Star Wars, and you've got this delayed release. I feel like the most fair comparison point is one Assassin's Creed Mirage. I mean, it came out fairly recently. That was a 1-year turnaround time versus a 3-month turnaround time. Now, to be fair, Assassin's Creed Mirage, given that it was a 1-year delayed release, it did have a steeper discount. Let me try to figure out what the price history on that was. Its lowest recorded price was $24.99. I would assume that at launch it was $24.99, maybe it was $29.99, but it saw a steeper discount, but that's offset by the fact that people had to wait a year. So where did Assassin's Creed Mirage peak at? Well, it peaked at 7,870 concurrent players. So 6x the amount of Star Wars Outlaws. I would personally expect, or I would have hoped that Outlaws would have done better. I think it's more of a testament on how bad of a game Outlaws was perceived to be. It's not a terrible game by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not a great game, and $70 is a steep price to pay. Now, Ubisoft sent me a copy of the game, so thanks to them, but as far as a new customer, $52 and change is still way too much. AC Mirage, I feel like, is the most fair comparison point, and it kind of illustrates just how poorly this game is doing from a commercial standpoint. It's kind of insane to think about a Star Wars game from Ubisoft, and leading into the release of Outlaws, and when we had heard that Ubisoft was doing an open world Star Wars game with this kind of a budget attached to it, even with a 3-month delayed release on Steam, I'm sorry, ain't nobody gonna be happy with 1,400 concurrent players. This game is an unmitigated disaster as far as its commercial reception is. There's a reason why this game is coming out only 3 months after its Ubisoft release. You think Ubisoft wanted to do this? You think Ubisoft wanted to go ahead and release AC Shadows day 1 on Steam? They did not. It's because this game has done so poorly, and I am trying to offer a little bit of context. I'm not going to compare this game to Black Myth Wukong. That's not fair. Space Marine 2, Metaphor, all of those games that were day 1 releases, but AC Mirage, again, followed the same fundamental formula in a delayed release. Okay, I could compare it to like Skull and Bones, but Skull and Bones is an unknown game, and that game was a disaster as well. But for the hell of it, let's look up Skull and Bones. I'm actually curious. Oh my goodness. Okay, Skull and Bones peaked at 2,615 players. Almost 2x of Star Wars Outlaws thus far. That's insane. 2,000. What about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown? No way that Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Let me try to pull this up. Let's look up Lost Crown. I think that would be a very interesting one. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. That peaked at 1,400 concurrent players. Literally the same as Star Wars Outlaws. This is Star Wars. Like, Prince of Persia is obviously an IP that has some history to it, but it's a Metroidvania release. Like, bro, come on now. We're comparing Lost Crown to Star Wars Outlaws. Again, we have actual, you know, good comparison points here with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown and Skull and Bones. It should not be doing half the number of Skull and Bones. It should not be struggling to barely beat Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I guess you could look up AC Valhalla, but obviously Valhalla, I would imagine, is well ahead of, yeah, Valhalla peaked at 15,000 concurrent players, and I would assume that's the kind of number that Ubisoft would have ideally liked to peak at. Like, yo, Star Wars open world game should be as big as an Assassin's Creed title. You're utilizing the Star Wars IP. It's only a 3-month turnaround versus the year that Mirage was versus however long Valhalla was. It should be peaking well above 1,400. Maybe it'll go up a little bit more over the course of the weekend, and it'll go up to, you know, 2,000, even 3,000 concurrent players. If it hits Skull and Bones numbers, that's still an unmitigated failure. This is just terrible. I mean, this is, again, when you contextualize the data, this isn't a data set that people are gonna get too obsessed with because it's a delayed release. It's a game that kind of has already been shuffled out of the news cycle, but I still think it's something worth talking about and, you know, definitely something worth mentioning. And again, you could be like, oh, but Star Wars Outlaws was a part of a subscription service and Ubisoft Plus. Well, Stalker 2 is a part of a subscription service, and how's that game doing? I get it, Stalker 2. Again, you could pick holes in any kind of comparison because you can't have a complete one-to-one fair comparison in a situation like this. But again, with the data offered and the context offered, anything other than this game being a colossal failure with its Steam release, I don't know what else you could see. Again, it's not like credit to Ubisoft because they are continuing to update this game, but this is why you don't do $110 gold editions exclusive to Ubisoft Connect. And obviously the game itself had its fair share of issues. There were aspects of it that I thought were okay, but man, the stealth gameplay I thought was god-awful, and I thought a lot of aspects of the game were, the dialogue wasn't great. It's just like I could go on and on, but you know, it's an okay game. I would spend $15 to $20 on it if you're a Star Wars fan. $52 and change is highway robbery, in my humble opinion. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.